Class 5 Research Facility. In orbit of Jupiter, 2025, two scientists rush toward their project as the facility is being torn apart. Alarms echo through the hallways, dimly lit only by flashing red lights and fire. The frantic stomping of the scientists can be heard over the chaos, alerting a squad of soldiers to their position. Blinding white plasma thunders past the fleeing researchers. The immense heat ignites one of the scientists' lab coats. He's too full of adrenaline to notice. With rubber soles screeching, the two turn down another hallway. The slower of the two bangs his fist on the emergency bulkhead button. The 2-ton steel door slams down and gives the two a fleeting moment of safety. Neither slows down, as both know proper safety is only a few seconds away. Behind them, the blast door is glowing red hot, the screeching of plasma carbines growing louder and louder as the door loses its strength. "Hurry, John," yells Samantha Cole. She is not only the most senior researcher on the Spear project, she is also the faster of the two researchers. John is too exhausted to reply. He hadn't expected any trouble in a cushy research job and hadn't done any cardio in months. He used to be a very fit individual, but got caught up in his work and stopped caring about himself as much as he used to. When he felt a sharp pain in his hamstring, he believed it was nothing more than a cramp. He cursed under his breath and kept running. Further up the corridor, the United Earth Government security detail was holding the door for the scientists. 3 soldiers lined a hasty barrier of sand-filled water jugs. One of them laid down suppressive fire with his M100 anti-material rifle. The 20mm rounds flew out of the gun at a rate of 1,500 rounds per minute. The immense recoil was absorbed by the soldier's standard-issue exoskeleton. Under normal circumstances, the depleted uranium darts could chew through anything in their path. The soldiers pursuing the scientist were anything but normal circumstances. 4 hulking beasts of metal, each standing well over 8 if tall, thundered after the helpless researchers. 2 of the creatures' 4 arms securely held onto gargantuan plasma carbines. The raw power of the rifles shook the entire surrounding area. It took over 100 rounds just to poke through their armor and another 10 to finally put them down. "Hurry! We can't hold them off much longer." The 2 scientists reached the soldiers, and they all entered a massive airlock. After rushing through, the soldiers radioed someone in command. "Researchers secured. Launch now." The floor shook, and a massive acceleration was felt. The science project had just decoupled from the station. Samantha got one final look at the station through the reinforced glass viewport. It was mangled beyond recognition. It wasn't the shattered remains of the station that interested her. It was the strange ship parked above it. Sleek and organic, like no other ship she'd seen before, they were obviously alien in design. Weapons rained down blinding pin drops of plasma upon the station. Countless flickering lights dotted the surface of the gargantuan vessel, illuminating massive glyphs of unknown type. The image of the alien vessel burned itself into her eyes as the Spear and all of its 23,457 passengers made a blind jump into FTL. Andota. In orbit of the Andota binary, 2072nd millennium of humanity. When can we expect the opening of trade routes and borders? The human male named Randall introduced himself as the chief diplomat of the great human empire. Everything Kala-led diplomacy counselor of the Andotan Federation had seen so far suggested that this human empire was everything but great. Only 5 solar systems appeared to be under the control of this empire, and the ship Randall arrived on was a small and brutish one. "I don't believe such an arrangement is in our best interest," Kala spoke with dignified superiority. This hadn't been the first time a young and arrogant species waltzed onto the hallowed ground of Andota, proper demanding diplomatic relations. They knew nothing of the true nature of the void, and the answer always put them back into their place. The void is a dangerous place to seek attention. To the surprise of Kala, such an answer only emboldened the human diplomat. "Of course. However, my question remains unanswered. When can we expect the opening of trade routes and borders?" Kala was appalled. Never before had a species dared to insult her in such a manner. "Did the translator fail when I spoke earlier?" The human coolly replied, "No." Kala couldn't understand why the human was acting in such a supremacist manner. It was the weakling in this situation. She decided to push back this human aggression with some force. "It is not in your best interest to open such relations." Kala decided to be rather brutish with her final statement. "It is also not in your best interest to push this issue further." The human diplomat was entirely unfazed. He continued his pressuring with a threat. "When can we expect the opening of trade routes and borders? Do you have a date in mind, or do I need to set one for you?" Kala rocketed out of her chair and looked down upon the human diplomat. She decided to let loose one very final warning. "Try and force it, you weakling apes. Your pitiful empire will be crushed in seconds by our might. You wouldn't be the first arrogant fools who become part of our greater union by force." The human diplomat also stood up but kept his composure while replying in the most powerful manner he could manage. "Do you even know who you are speaking with? Do you think of humanity as a species who will happily be pushed aside? No. We are the species that pushes others to the side. You will answer my question within the day, or it will be answered for you." With his final words spoken, the human left the Andota system in his crude vessel. The deadline of one day came and went. Instead of agreeing to the human offer of trade and the opening of borders, the mighty Andotan Federation decided to teach the puny humans a lesson. 15 subjugation fleets were sent to the human planet of Primos, which was believed to be the homeworld of this human empire. Upon arrival at the planet of 27 billion, all contact was lost with the battle group. All 15,000 ships just vanished in the blink of an eye. Within the hour, a single human battleship arrived in the Andota system. Every craft that attempted to approach it simply ceased to function. All machinery shut down, and all vital signs of any crew flatlined. Throughout all of this, the human ship remained unscathed. The world of Andota could only watch as a massive beam of gold thundered out of the ship's bow, but it wasn't targeting Andota proper. The beam outshone both red dwarves of the Andota binary by multiple orders of magnitude. It raced at nearly the speed of light for 15 minutes until it made contact with the gas giant called Callio. It only took 10 minutes for light to reach Andota and show the aftermath. Within a matter of minutes, a single human ship was able to ignite the gas giant into a star. The energy output of just a single human weapon was completely unimaginable, and the human ship itself was completely untouchable. The human ship then fired a large missile. It took only 30 minutes to reach the gas giant. Upon arrival, it immediately returned the newborn star back into a gas giant. The system became significantly darker as the two red dwarves returned to being the only major source of light within the system. After this tremendous display of power was completed, the human ship sent a single message in a cold and robotic voice. "The deal has changed. Accept vassalization or be vassalized by force." Earth. Sol System. 2572nd Millennium of Humanity. President Julian of the United States of Humanity sits silently at his desk. His mind is occupied with thoughts of the human Dominion separatists. They've declared guerrilla war on the USH, originally in an attempt to join the GHE. The beliefs of the separatists are far too extreme for even the GHE, which is an oppressive regime in its own right. Julian's conscience is still reeling from last month's decision to fight alongside the Empire to contain the genocidal separatists. A knock on his door awakened him from his tired stupor. "Sir," the powerful voice of High Admiral Cole rang out, "there's a situation developing." The president rose from his desk and exited his office. He let his eyes wander to the paintings on the walls of the grand hallways of the presidential estate. Great statesmen of the Americas and Europe, ancient philosophers of Greece and China, world leaders throughout the turbulent 2000s, and heroes of the great wars. All of these men and women throughout history laid the foundation upon which the USH now stands. Julian hopes they would be proud of the nation they worked and died to shape. The Admiral opened a large set of oak doors. "After you, sir." The president walked through the doors and into a sprawling command center. Thousands of advisors and staff busily worked to ensure the smooth operation of the Great Republic. This was the largest hub of bureaucracy in the multi-million galaxy coalition of human states. Situated as one of the 4 superpowers within the Pisces-Cetus supercluster complex, the USH has enjoyed over 1,000 millennia of prosperity. Within rooms such as this, the entire network of human democracy is kept alive by centralized oversight of the individual states that make up the greater USH. These states largely self-govern, but rely upon the centralized government for military and economic assistance. Every member state votes in centralized elections, resulting in the largest republic the universe has ever seen. The admiral and the president continue walking until they reach another door. After entering the room, the two are greeted by another large room. Here, the president's closest advisors and most senior military officials brief him on the most urgent matters within human space. After sitting down and seeing the grim faces of his advisors, he feared the worst. Have the separatists committed another atrocity? The president's mood lightened as one of his advisors responded, "No." The stoic look upon the advisor's face didn't change, however. The GHE has violated the M87 Treaty. The M87 Treaty? That stood for well over 1,000,000 years. Julian paused for a moment to collect his thoughts. Do we know what they have to gain? Yes, sir, and that is why we've called your council. The advisor turned the conversation over to Admiral Cole. 2 days ago, we received scattered reports of increased Imperial activity outside of GHE borders. After increased investigation by our agents within Imperial space, we found the main incentive for their expansion. The Admiral turned on a large holographic projector in the middle of the table. It sputtered for a second before emitting a picture-perfect representation of an object. If one was unaware, it would be 100% indistinguishable from the real thing. But if you tried to touch it, its holographic nature would instantly be uncovered. What's this? The Admiral answered the President's question in a way that created more questions. This is a brand new Tylosian light assault fighter. Everyone in the room could see the shock and confusion on the President's face. Tylosians? The shock and confusion turned to a wave of hushed anger. What the hell are Tylosians doing in the Laniakea? Neither we nor the GHE know their purpose, but we do know what they've been doing. High Admiral Cole changed the hologram to that of a barren planet. This is the planet known as Sharlox, as of 2,000 years ago. The planet was a lush and vibrant ball of blues and greens. It had an incredibly striking resemblance to Earth in its earlier years. The Admiral continued his explanation. Sharlox in this state was inhabited by an early industrial civilization. However, today it is completely unrecognizable. The hologram morphed from a beautiful ball of life into a ball with a completely ash-choked atmosphere. Are you sure this was Tylosian activity? I know they're a bunch of xenocidal asshats like no other, but M87, the President's words held some merit. Civilizations dying out early was always a tragedy, but hardly uncommon. Nuclear war, massive impacts, climate disasters, or war with neighboring species were the common culprits. I'm quite sure. The Admiral changed the hologram once more, and the atmosphere was cleared away, leaving only a reflective ball. The planet has been entirely glassed. Not a single cell of life survived. The glass penetrated 100 miles into the planet's mantle. It gets even more damning. The magnetic field of the planet is rapidly decaying. A Tylosian core charge was found embedded within the planet. The advisor chimed in once more. We found over 10,000 planets just like this one. Entire civilizations. Just gone. Spear Citadel. Intergalactic space near the M87 galaxy. 2072nd millennium of humanity. After thousands of millennia of modifications and expansions, the Spear project now stands as a testament to humanity's ability to adapt. What was once a mile-long sanctuary for the survivors of the Great Assault of 2375 now exists as a sphere-shaped mobile capital with a radius of over 1 AU. It exists as the mobile command center of the GHE and serves as a home for quadrillions of humans by the most conservative estimates. The most extreme estimates place the population somewhere within 110 septillion. Whatever the population lies at, the absolute insanity of the sphere cannot be fathomed by an unaugmented mind. Thanks to the human mastery of space and time, nearly every inch of the structure is habitable or useful, and it is nowhere near full. In the center of this massive amalgamation lies the original sphere, the first of humanity's successful FTL experiments. When those fleeing the unknown alien menace looked to the stars, they didn't look anywhere in particular. Luckily for them, they re-entered real space near the galactic core of the Sombrero Galaxy, and not in the cold and empty intergalactic void. Deep within the belly of the sphere, the Empress herself is engaged in diplomacy. Empress Samantha Cole is deep in an argument with President Julian over the HoloNet. The lifelike image of the president paces back and forth with agitation, and Samantha stays perfectly still while defending her actions. Her calculating mind doesn't allow for such inefficient gestures as pacing, as her now fully robotic mind concludes it wastes energy and time. Millions of years have taken their toll upon her body. Every fiber of her being has been replaced with machinery. To an outside observer, however, none of this is visible. Human technology has progressed enough to hide any modifications made to the body under a layer of artificial skin. Upon further inspection, this also is shown to be an amalgamation of nanomachines. These nanomachines also make any human equipped with them nearly invulnerable to damage. Such modifications are much more common within the technocratic GHE than in the USH, but the technology is still widespread amongst all of humanity. When Julian brought up the topic of Tylosians, not even Samantha's synthetic efficiency could prevent her from wincing. There are Tylosians in M87 and you didn't even warn us. You've put the security of the entire Laniakea supercluster at risk. Not to mention you've been going around vassalizing anything with half a brain. What kind of nation preys on the weak for their own benefit? Thanks to Julian's insult, Samantha let a rare showing of emotion take control. You know damn well it's for their own good. The Tylosians don't give a second thought to any life they come across. It's an absolute death sentence to leave them on their own. You don't need to turn them into stepping stones for your empire just to protect them. You could simply post your ships within their borders for protection. Samantha detected a fault within the president's logic. Such an act is a total breach of sovereignty. There is no difference between that and vassalization. Julian didn't seem deterred by Samantha's unparalleled logical abilities. There certainly is a difference between total occupation and simple military access. You know better than to act like there isn't. False human code of law clearly states any incursion upon sovereign territory constitutes an act of war. Two countries at war are subject to the Andromeda Convention, which requires the superior force to take command of civilian areas under occupation and render aid in governmental function. Human battle fleets constitute superior forces. Do you have absolutely no room for interpretation within your mind? If you haven't already occupied the planet, you do not need to take total control. Occupation of a system constitutes occupation of a planet. Never mind this whole topic then. At least inform me of any information on the Tylosian presence that you haven't provided thus far. Samantha sent a packet of 2 yottabytes worth of data over the HoloNet, then begins to provide a brief synopsis of the data. The Tylosians have exterminated 15,161 planets of various species. They are searching for what they call the prison. What this prison contains is unknown, but can be assumed to be very dangerous. They seek to unleash the prisoners, likely in an attempt to weaken the human standing within the Pisces Cetus supercluster complex. Julian seemed satisfied that the GHE was finally being honest. Thank you. I'll have multiple battle fleets sent to M87 right away. We need to deal with this quickly. After the fruitful discourse between the 2 human superpowers was concluded, human presence within the M87 galaxy was strengthened by an order of magnitude. Their newfound competition didn't dissuade the Tylosians. Instead, they only ramped up their genocidal campaign for information about the prison and its whereabouts. The Tylosians know that they've nearly reached their final goal. They know they will soon unleash a monster that all of humanity will fear. Deep within the prison, the unknown inmates sit in wait. The day they emerge will be the day they exact vengeance upon their universe. The doomsday clock strikes 11:59.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.